In today's episode, Drew Brees throws 5 picks and ends the touchdown streak. The Spurs are fined big time, and Rondo destroys Humphries. You're watching The Pitch.
We're singing, hey, you can't count us out. We've been running up against the crowd. Yeah, we're the dark horses.
Welcome to The Pitch. As always, I'm your host, John Fox, alongside here with Mitch Sabatelli and Mike Peps Peroni. Now, Mitch, Atlanta picks off Brees 5 times, ends his touchdown streak. Thoughts on that?
This is a statement win for Atlanta. Now they're 11-1, and everyone knows that that offense is strong with Matt Ryan, all those weapons, Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones, Roddy White, Michael Turner. The big weakness going is that Atlanta defense going to step up against these big-time quarterbacks in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, even new up-and-coming quarterbacks like Colin Kaepernick, Robert Griffin if he gets in. Any of these quarterbacks, it's going to be tough with that Atlanta secondary. In picking off Drew Brees 5 times and ending that touchdown streak, huge game, huge momentum builder for Atlanta's defense. And Atlanta's offense wasn't even that great in that game. And for Atlanta's defense to step up and actually win a huge game against an elite quarterback like Drew Brees, this is huge for their confidence and huge for their confidence going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Big win for them, 11-1. All the talks of the past of Atlanta, they for real and everything. I think 11-1 speaks for itself. Big win for them, especially. The offense throughout has been really solid throughout this whole entire season with all the key running back weapons and the wideouts and Matt Ryan obviously at the helm. I mean, it was always, like you said, the defense that was always being questioned by everybody, but it's just they just showed up against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and got 5 interceptions, first of all, which is momentum enough to just keep you going through the season and want to keep winning and go to the Super Bowl. And also, you ended the streak.
Right.
Big ending of that touchdown streak, and that's even more momentum for them to just keep going. And big shutdown defense that game, and that's a big statement win for Atlanta. I gotta agree with you on that.
It's almost even more shocking that he didn't throw a touchdown against that defense than the defense picking him off 5 times.
Exactly.
But the thing is, yeah, everyone can say with the Saints all the problems, all their off-the-field problems. Anytime you have a real good quarterback like Drew Brees is, I mean, you can win some games, and they haven't been winning some games. They haven't been winning games all season. They've only won 5. And anytime you have that quarterback playing against you, it's always going to be worrisome for that defense. And for them to step up going into the playoffs here,
I feel like it was a bigger win for Atlanta than it was a loss for New Orleans. Because New Orleans already had the loss of everyone and everything. And
obviously,
the NFC is too tough this year. They're 10-1.
Yeah, no way. But I mean, I think it was a bigger win for Atlanta because it just shows that they're gonna take this to the top.
I hear you.
All right, moving on to football. Ray Lewis says he will play in Week 15. Thoughts on this, Peps?
I mean, hey, good for him. He's at least coming back for Week 15. I think it's good that he gets rested, healthy, ready. I mean, they definitely need him back if they want to make a deep playoff run. They need that defense intact with Lewis, Reed, and everybody, so then the offense can go in and do their job and dominate with the run game and everything, and the safe passing by Flacco and everything, make sure it's all in place. And I think it's pretty big for the Ravens. He comes back Week 15. Make sure he's healthy, ready to go, and go for a playoff run.
Well, the thing is, Week 15 is Denver Broncos, so he's coming back seeing Peyton Manning there. All the lights are going to be on him. Ray Lewis come back for the big hero in that defense, the big motivator, the middle linebacker calling all the shots. He's going to be after Peyton Manning, but I think this is completely moronic for Ray Lewis to come back before the playoffs. If he's going to have, especially at, what is he, 37, 38 years old? He's getting up there. I mean, maybe if he's thinking that this is possibly his last season, I know Ed Reed has had some thoughts like that, and maybe he might go out with Ed Reed, but I think he's still had a couple more years in him, and if he's planning on extending his career another 2-3 years, this is stupid in my opinion. I mean, if you want to win a ring, you're going to win your ring, possibly come back for if they have a shot to win the Super Bowl, if they have a shot at the AFC Championship, maybe come back for a few plays here and there in that game. I don't think this is completely dumb to come back Week 15, in my opinion.
I just think he wants to play against Peyton Manning on the
That's what I'm saying.
and everything. He just wants to see how he is in the new Broncos.
Maybe just tune him up a little bit. Yeah. Maybe by getting himself out there, he can feel, can I come back this year? Or
maybe have a couple games before the playoffs. Maybe take it light.
I hear you. I mean, there's pros and cons to both things. I just think if Ray Lewis does come back, he should come back closer to when the playoffs are, either Week 16 or the actual playoffs.
True.
All right, moving on to the NBA news. The Spurs are fined $250,000 for not playing players. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, apparently the Spurs didn't warn the league that they were going to play their players.
Yeah, David Stern got really upset.
Yeah. This guy's a complete pussy. I mean, he's the worst commissioner in the league, and that's saying Gary Bettman in there. Gary Bettman actually doesn't even have his sport playing right now. And
I didn't get to see my favorite players.
David Stern is worse. This guy is a complete baby. He sees the Spurs going against the Heat. All
by a tampon Stern.
This could be a big draw for the NBA. You got the Miami Heat going against the Spurs, another team who can possibly contend for a championship. And he sees, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili going up against that big three.
Have you gone to games, like sports games, that, star players haven't played?
Right.
Yeah, it's called Get Over It.
Yeah.
Nothing's guaranteed on the back of the ticket.
True. Yeah, and I think this is smart by Greg Popovich. Listen, you got a big team coming up there. You already have a.
If I was Greg Popovich, I'd say I would have just said bullshit.
Yeah.
Period.
No, listen, you have a good record now.
There was nothing in any sort of rule book, anything about this. So
listen. They're 13. I believe they're 13-4. If you have that kind of record with this aging team, everyone thought they were aging last year. If you were 13-4 going against that big Miami Heat team, it's not that big of a deal. It's probably a good idea to
Popovich usually does it later in the season,
right?
And that's what they were all talking about. That was the buzz on ESPN.
That was why they lost last year.
Yeah, I know.
Breaks.
I know, but now
they're
the Spurs. They're the Spurs. They pull through. They get into the playoffs and they make it. Age is not a factor.
Right.
I think the reason why this is so big because they're playing a team like the Heat. I think that's why
can't you? I mean, and they only lost by what, like 5 points?
Yeah.
So the Heat,
they sell like they're starting.
The thing is,
why wasn't it a show?
The thing is, the Spurs at that age, I mean, any one of those players could go down with an injury, so I think it's good for Popovich to get his young players in there.
He wants to see what he has on the bench for his playoffs. He says, all right, now I know who I can put in.
Absolutely.
I'm not disagreeing with any of what you're saying. I really think it's a very good idea, a good tactic. But, I mean, I guess a little bit. Just a little bit of agreement. A tiny bit with Sir in the sense of he wants to see all the All-Stars come out in the shining lights and everything.
But I don't really...
I think should have given him a warning. They should have given him a warning. As stupid as it is.
But he needs to realize that Greg Popovich is a great coach. It's not like this is a first-year coach coming in being like, oh, I'm just going to do what I want. Greg Popovich knows what he's doing. Stern needs to just realize what's going on and just get out of the league after the season. Never come back.
He says
go home.
He says it's for the good of the NBA fans when you know it's really just him.
Ridiculous.
Because he was pumping up the media for it.
And one more
being a baby about it all. He needs to stop and just get out and just move on with another commissioner.
One more point here. You see a lot of teams doing this with the older players trying to make one last hurrah with these old players. I mean, these players have been together for the last decade or so, and they could use a break here. You see Miami, everyone's expecting this is going to be a good game. Why burn yourself out against going against the high
Spurs record
Miami? I think they're 13-4. So they're fine.
What?
Yeah.
It's dumb.
You're on a great streak. You're on a great streak. You're not really worried about your position. Why not rest the older players? Especially they've been there for years. They deserve... I mean, honestly, with all the championships they've won, David Stern needs to get the friggin' you-know-what out of his ass and just realize that it's up to them. They're championship caliber players, a championship caliber team, Hall of Fame, all of them, plus the coach. He needs to realize that this is not up to him.
This is a joke to them right now. Like, it's just a joke. It's a joke to everybody.
And the thing is, they set them against the Miami Heat, so the only reason they'll be playing the Miami Heat in the playoffs if they reach them in the championship game.
Exactly.
If they stand them against the Lakers, who are the same age, or OKC, who they lost to last year, that would be a bigger deal. But because they're playing the Miami Heat,
opposite conference.
I'd be pissed if I were the bench players. Like I'd be like, we're David Stern. Like,
put 100 on your team.
Right. Yeah, I know. All right. Spent enough time on that. So moving on, Rondo may have gone too far, sticking up for KG on this one. He has a little fisticuff with Chris Humphries, and thoughts on this debacle.
First of all, the foul from Humphries wasn't even that big of a deal. I think Garnett just wanted to make it a big deal, get a call, maybe get his team some momentum. Honestly, I think this is just proving that you can't see Garnett as being your big man. He is not that type of player. He's a finesse, athletic power forward, not supposed to be a center, pushing bodies around and everything. At this stage, Danny Ainge needs to go out there and do his job like he did in 2007, except this time he needs to get a big guy. A big guy who can go in there, play defense, block shots, get rebounds, push people around. They don't have that. They have Sullinger and Melo developing. They have all these other guys who are finesse players off the bench. They need to realize that they need to go out and get a big body to protect Kevin Garnett. And Rondo is, honestly, I defend Rondo because he's tired of this. He's tired of this stuff. He's arguably the best player on that team right now. And he's just, I'm saying because KG and Pierce are Hall of Famers anyways. But I'm just saying, right now, he's the leader of this team. And he's making a statement. He's a psycho competitor. He wants to win. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. And so what? He gets to spend 2 games. Maybe that will make them realize, at least it's not something like the playoffs, so make them realize that they need to do... It's not, though. He would. I doubt he'd do that in the playoffs.
Rondo is known for his temper,
So what? He's a competitor.
So what if he does it in the playoffs in like game 1 or 2 or something like that?
Maybe
in
it
the
won't
big
have to happen
series,
like that. And get a big player by then.
It's dumb play.
It's not. It's the beginning of the season. He wants to make Ainge and upper management recognize if you don't do something, then we're just going to collapse and all these old players are just going to fall and we're going to be a 50-50 team, just exactly like it was the last season, except worse.
All right, I'm the biggest Celtics fan right now, and I will say that Rondo should have been suspended for at least 6 games here.
Stupid.
That was completely the dumbest move I've ever seen Rondo make in the last 6 years. Now, listen, I love what you said, Peps, about how he's the leader of the team now. And with moving Ray Allen, I think that signifies that the Celtics are moving away from that big 3 and handing the key to Rajon Rondo. And what better to lead by example than actually just keep everybody on the court and just not, unleash yourself at another player.
But he's exposing his leadership through, I want this to happen, and if you don't make this happen, this is the statement that's going to be made.
I think the thing with Rondo
if you don't make this happen, then I will make you realize that you made a big mistake.
All right,
that's exactly what he's doing.
When players come into the league, the big knock on Rondo was that he can't shoot and he has temper issues.
Okay.
It's usually with the refs.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's usually with the refs. However, he comes into the league with arguably, like you said, 3 Hall of Famers who he has this in his back pocket that he basically has the 3 best.
He even had a streak going, and he ruined that because of
true.
I mean, it's
it just shows he doesn't give a crap about the streak.
I know.
He wants to win.
That's good.
Okay.
Like it shows, team, faith and
Right. Now he has these 3.
If I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just saying it was dumb.
I'm just saying if I'm the best at something I do, then I want all the keys need to put in place to make me be able to do the best job that I can possibly do at the situation that I'm in. I also want all the keys around me so I can do my work, but these guys need to be backing me up. And if you don't have the right core backing me up, then I'm going to make you realize you better go out there and get it. Danny Ainge, go out there and get it. Right now.
But it wasn't even on a big play. I mean, the foul was
the second quarter.
Hit him in the face.
They're down 15, you're making a statement. I get, okay, that's...
Why can't KG do it?
It's not even really about a
statement.
I think it's a larger picture. Come on, Slee.
All right, let me make my point here. What I'm saying is, when Rondo came up into this league, he had 3 Hall of Famers on his team, and basically could sit back for a solid 5 years and just watch around him and see what they were doing by leading by example. And one thing that he had... One person out of those 3 was Kevin Garnett, who is also known because he's a little bit too much of a competitor. Now, he saw Kevin Garnett do this. Kevin Garnett, like you said, over-exaggerated that foul. Yes. So he sees by Kevin Garnett doing this that,
I need up to the normal linesman.
Maybe he thought it was a harder hit.
No, listen. So he needed to think that he needed to stick up for Kevin Garnett, and by seeing that, Kevin Garnett didn't do anything because he's a little bit older. So he sees Chris Humphries, who everybody knows is a jerk. He's on Entertainment Tonight because he's a jerk. And he throws him in the stands just because Doc Rivers did a great job. He said Rajon Rondo reacted, and it was a legitimate overreaction. But I also think Doc Rivers did a great job by, when they asked, they said, what do you think about Rajon Rondo's foul on Chris Humphries? He said, listen, I'm not talking about Rajon Rondo. I think the whole team in general is soft. Now, if the Celtics weren't losing by 20 points, then that wouldn't have happened. The reason why Rondo did that is because he was pissed at the Celtics for not winning. Now, the Celtics...
because they're soft.
Exactly. They're soft, and that's what you're saying. And Doc Rivers did a great job by saying that they were soft rather than referring to Rondo's foul. But I'm saying it's not Rajon Rondo that's the problem. It's that the Celtics need to get up. They got up against OKC and they won, but they didn't get up against the fucking Knicks. The Nets, exactly.
The fucking Brooklyn Nets.
It's ridiculous. So I think I agree with Peps a little bit by that Rondo reacted just because he was trying to stick up for Kevin Garnett. However, I think it was completely dumb that he did do it in that situation.
It was
because he is the leader. This is the first year where it's actually Rajon Rondo's team because Ray Allen left. And I think for these young players looking looking up at him, like you said, Fat Mello, who has problems, Jared Sellinger, all these new guys, Jason Terry. They look at Rondo and they're like,
Jeff
all right,
Green's
listen,
back.
what should we do? We can't be throwing players into the stands, and that should result in at least 5 games. In my
He
opinion.
should definitely get a suspension for that. But they need to realize that it's a much bigger picture than that. They need to go out and get a big body and help Rondo out. It's not even just for Rondo. Help out Garnett. Garnett's older. He wants to be with this team until he retires in his 40s. Get him the help that he needs under the boards. If you can't do that, then don't even waste your time going to the playoffs.
I do want to say one more thing before we move on here. I think losing that assist streak actually is good for Rajon Rondo and the Celtics because he was taking too much time making sure that he was getting up to double-digit assists. A couple games he just got his 10 assists and then he would leave. Now I think it's good that if he needs to score, he can score. I mean, it's his team. He's taking the control. He's getting the ball 90% of the time. Yeah. If he needs to go to the rim and make a basket, then he needs to do that.
He definitely has some maturing to do still, yes, he does. But he's definitely developing his team and he's making the statement, hey, I need help.
I hear you.
All right, moving on to MLB news. The Rays extend Longoria. Right move.
All right, so they extended him a few years ago, and now basically...
How long was the
original thing was, I think, 6 years, and then they made it, and then that was 2 years ago. So now he's going to be on the team for another 10 years, and they gave him another $100 million, which makes him a real high-paid for third baseman. But the problem is, Evan Longoria... In that small market, you don't really see Tampa Bay shell out these big, huge contracts, which is huge. And it's a huge deal for Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay's fans, especially because they've never seen this before. Yeah. But Evan Longoria
the bus isn't going to stop there.
Right.
They want to be in it.
And Evan Longoria has had injury issues, so that's the only thing I see that's a little bit controversial with this deal. However, I do think it was the big move because he is the face of the franchise. I see Evan Longoria and David Price as the next big things in that team for the next 5-10 years, and they need to lock those 2 guys up.
I like the move. I think it's a great move for the Rays.
I disagree with the move that we're going to be talking about in a second.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. But Longoria is the face of the franchise. They've been to World Series with him. I mean, I know they haven't won.
He needs to stay on the field.
The World Series. He needs to definitely stay on the field. He needs. I mean, it's a very good deal for them. Very good deal for them, and very good deal for Longoria, and he could be there his whole career with them. That's
what he wants to stay. He wants to stay all of his years with Tampa Bay, and that's the first time
franchise
anyone's ever said that about the Rays.
With this contract, they're stating it with that. They pretty much want him for life, his career.
All right, moving on to the next deal. The Mets agree 7 years, $122 million with David Wright. Is this a good deal? Is this a good move, Bess?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think it's different from Longoria. I just think 7 years, $122 million to a guy like David Wright. I mean, I know he's a great athlete. He's a good player, a good third baseman.
That could be valuable money for the Mets.
They could be going elsewhere and getting more pitching and everything else like that. They're not focused on the right things. They shell out too much money for him. They could have given him less. They definitely could have given him less. I don't like the deal.
I agree with not liking this deal. However, the Mets, when you see them shell out this big contracts, it's usually to the Carlos Beltrans. A couple of years ago, 7 years ago now, in 2005, when they shelled out all that money to Carlos Delgado, Carlos Beltran, Paulo Duca, and a couple other guys.
They have like one star player.
The thing with that is, all those players came from other teams. They've never locked up a big player since I've been a fan. On their existing team already. And this is huge because David Wright has been the focal point for that franchise the last 10 years. And they either had to make a decision with either we extend Jose Reyes or David Wright. And eventually they let Jose Reyes go. And I thought they were going to let David Wright go as well. However, they kept David Wright. And I think it's a good move for the Mets franchise because they've never done that. However, as far as their situation goes, I would have let him walk a little bit or let a couple more months go and maybe drive the price down.
Less money.
Especially because you have R.A. Dickey coming off a huge year and they could have given him some money. Maybe got in the free agent market, got a few more signings.
And more help than that.
I mean, I like the move for the Mets franchise. I don't like it for their situation now.
It seems like a move for the fan base to just keep this.
Because they never locked up a guy.
Yeah, they never really had a face of a franchise.
The last time they shelled out a contract was to Jason Bay, and we know how that worked out. But, I mean, at least this guy is already a proven commodity in New York. That's what I'm saying.
Moving on to the final MLB story. Tommy Hanson traded to the Angels. Thoughts on this, Mitch?
Yeah, for Jordan Walden, who was their closer 2 years ago, I think this is a great move for the Angels because you see Urban Santana
Bolstered in pitching depth,
Right.
starting and relieving. Oh.
Right. Last year they had
out
Greinke,
of
they
here.
had Herron, they had Weaver, they had
How do you
Urban
not
Santana.
win?
No, listen. Last year they had Greinke, Herron, Urban Santana, Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson. They just locked up C.J. Wilson. However, Greinke is now a free agent, and it looks like he's going to go elsewhere. And they also lost Urban Santana to, I believe, the Kansas City Royals. So by adding this guy, Tommy Hanson, who was my pick 2 years ago to win the Cy Young in the NL, which didn't come into fruition here, but I do like that move for the Angels to lock up their rotation. I think Tommy Hanson's going to have a breakout year here, and he has that big offense with Trumbo, Trout, Pujols behind him. I think it's a great move, and I think he can handle the pressure.
I agree with that. I just think the Angels need all the help they can get after last year's debacle. It was just horrible ending for them for their season.
Well, it was a horrible start.
High payroll. It's like they're kind of like the Red Sox. They just fell off the map horribly, and they had all these high-paid players. They just, with the team they had and the pitching they have, they should definitely have been at least a playoff team.
It was shocking with all those payroll players, the Vernon Wells, Albert Pujols, C.J. Wilson. You see two guys, Trumbo and Trout, was really carrying that team.
Hey,
but I think this is a good move because now they're getting younger and now
Yeah.
they're getting some experience.
Definitely.
All right, now moving on to the NFL Games of the Week section. Bucks at Broncos. Thoughts on this game?
I'm going to take the Broncos here. They've won their last 6 straight. Peyton Manning's all of a sudden entering the MVP race, not even the comeback player of the year. He's going to win that easily. However, I do think he's also in the MVP discussion now. Bucks, they're 6-5.
Tough game last game.
Right.
Losing by 1 point.
Right.
Ugh.
They're 6-5, but I think they're a little bit of a soft 6-5. I know Doug Martin's having a breakout season here, and I know Josh Freeman's been solid. I know VJax was a solid addition. It was either going to be boom or bust for VJax. It looks like that's a boom. However, I think that defense is a little overrated, and I do like the Broncos' offense. And also, they think they have the best defensive player or one of the best defensive players, along with J.J. Watt and Von Miller. And I'm gonna say that Von Miller is going to be all over Josh Freeman this game. And I'm gonna say that Peyton Manning needs a big offensive game against Tampa Bay. I think he's going to do it.
I'm definitely going to agree with that statement. I think also the Broncos are at home is definitely going to help them too. You got Peyton Manning at home. You got the fans. You got the crowd. Chance to be a huge team in the playoffs. I honestly don't think Freeman's going to be able to penetrate through that defense like much at all. I just think it's going to be a struggle for the Bucks. I give them credit being 6-5. I mean, they got all those signings and everything, and they'll be a good team. I believe maybe a couple of years in the future, like a better team, more like a wild card. But I just don't think they're going to even be in a playoff hunt this year.
I mean, they're in the wild card discussion right now at 6-5.
I don't see them getting there.
I don't see them winning here.
I just don't trust Freeman.
That's exactly right. I mean, they might have a better team than the Washington Redskins, but I like an up-and-coming RG3 to possibly get in there. I like another team, maybe and
it's Peyton Manning and the Broncos are home.
And it's a tough NFC. So
good defense, Broncos, good offense. I mean, it's tough to beat.
I'll go with the Broncos.
Broncos get it.
All right, on to the next Manning brother. Second final game of the week. Giants at the Redskins. Thoughts on who's going to take this one?
I am going to go with the home team. I'm going to pick the Washington Redskins to upset the Giants. It was. I really think that the Redskins can pull it off. The Giants' record in... Well, actually, no. It's going to be December.
Absolutely picked apart the Packers.
Their record in November was horrible. I think this is going to start... Their record in December for this year is going to be 0-1. I really think that... They start out so strong this season. They're starting to fall a little. I think they're going to fall to that usual type of, like... 10-6, 9-7 record type.
You're talking about the
10-6, yeah, something like that. But I don't see them really being like a big. I really don't see them on the road pulling this one out. I think the Redskins will be. I think they'll pull it out. It's going to be a close one. I'm just going to go with the upset. I think the Redskins can pull it off at home on the upset in the trap game against the Giants.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree a little bit here. I mean, where have we seen the Giants start off strong and then have a notoriously horrible November always, and then pick it up in December, and then get into the playoffs, and then wreck the playoffs? I'm going to say that this is going to be a huge game for the Giants against the Redskins. The Redskins had a huge game last week with RG3, who's all of a sudden in
the Giants had a huge game against the Packers.
Yeah, that was a huge win as well.
Eli throwing touchdowns, making up for his
RG3's back in the Andrew Luck discussion, and he's back in the MVP discussion. But I'm going to say now that this game is in December, Eli Manning sucks in November, but all of a sudden you hit up December and he turns it on, and everybody's waiting when the Giants are going to actually turn it on. I think they just Giants did against the Packers last week. I think this is a huge game for the Giants or the Redskins. If the Redskins win this, all of a sudden they're back in the playoff picture and they're back in the NFC East NFC East division race. However, I think the Giants take this because I think Eli Manning's ready to get it done like he always does in December.
I think it'll be a closer game. I'm just gonna go with the upset because
I hear you.
Honestly, I think the Redskins can pull it off.
Cool.
All right, well, excuse me. One more game of the week. Steelers at Ravens.
Yeah.
Who will take this one?
2 weeks ago, the Ravens won 13-10. I'm going to go,
I'd say
and that was
Ravens.
at Pittsburgh, and now this one's at Ravens. I think all this news with Ray Lewis is giving them a little bit of spark, and all of a sudden, Ravens are 9-2.
Joe Flacco is just too unpredictable. Like, he's just too unpredictable.
Right, but they lost.
He's not clutch at all.
The thing with the Ravens this year is they
I
lost.
mean, he gets him in field goal range,
Yeah.
but he's not doing, like, you know, I mean, he took him a long time to get San Diego.
It's like a Billy Connor, friend.
The thing with the Ravens is, hey, listen. The thing with the Ravens this year is they lost those 2 games very close to each other, and then they also had all those injuries. So a lot of people.
I don't even know if I could consider it. I mean, Charlie Bash now. I mean, after seeing him.
Yeah. So
Ugh.
a lot of people overlooking the Ravens and possibly thinking, oh,
Like,
okay,
I know
they
it's
possibly be a
Steelers.
wild card.
I know it's
Can
Steelers
Pittsburgh-
defense in this one, but what else do the Steelers have to bring to the table?
Yeah, all right. So what I'm saying is, I think the Ravens'
Excuse
offense
me.
is better now, and they didn't have a great game against the Steelers 2 weeks ago. I think Torrey Smith's going to have a big game against Pittsburgh, and I also think the Ravens defense
just haven't been having good offensive production. Like,
I'm giving that taste of my own medicine.
Yeah, no. I mean, barely
like a
pulling
Saturday
off
Night
wins
Live
by a field goal. Like consecutive games. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
Well, like I was saying, the Ravens are now getting the momentum of Ray Lewis.
who's the analyst now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Honestly, the show.
I'm
going to go with the Ravens too. I think I think being at home and then the Steelers not Roethlisberger will hurt. The defenses will
Ray Lewis
obviously
news,
come
like
intact
they're
and
trying to
everything. I think the Ravens will.
So
do
when
it. They're
are
too
they?
much.
When are they actually targeting Roethlisberger to come back?
It was supposed to be. He's supposed to be
50-50.
targeted this week.
Yeah,
and
I
now he's
know.
out.
But,
so I'm guessing either next week or the
But
week
who
following.
does the Steelers face next week though?
I don't know.
Because if it's if they can pull it out, I mean,
It's
whoever
week
it
10,
is,
like,
yeah. I mean, I'd rest Big Ben.
Oh.
The thing with the AFC, that sixth spot with the Colts, the Bengals, I mean, they could possibly still get in if they win these games. But, I mean, Ravens need to lock up this win because they're possibly heading up for a bye into a week
Charlie
one.
Batch is starting.
Is
Is
it Leftwich? It might still be Leftwich.
I'd rather
Oh,
have
that's
Batch.
just awful.
I rather like Batch too.
I'd rather have Batch Leftwich with the friggin' takes 10 seconds to
Yikes.
load his passes.
Yikes. All
Ravens win big here.
Ravens got it.
All right, moving on. Question. Who is your MVP? This is our question, final to wrap up the show. Who are your guys' MVP of the year so far in the NFL?
Let me just tell you who's in the MVP race as we talk about right now. Everyone thought Matt Ryan was going to run away because of what his team did at the beginning of the season. Also, Aaron Rodgers is back into the discussion. You can throw Tom Brady in there, who's all
What
of a sudden
about
back
Reggie
in the
Wayne?
No, because I think they're going to give it to Colt. It would be Andrew Luck.
True. But Reggie
a lot
Wayne,
of receptions, a lot of yards.
I mean, at his age, all the
think
way
he
up
passed
there.
But I think the main guys.
Why not? Why couldn't it be a wide receiver?
I hear you.
More than
But
3
usually they
receptions.
give it
in
to
a
Shot
game.
that down very
Consecutive,
quick.
yeah.
Very quick. I understand.
I mean, when was the last time you seen a wide receiver win the MVP?
That would be pretty
True.
impressive if he did.
Yeah,
True. I mean, but he's beast in receptions too. I mean,
But is that more on Andrew Luck too? Because I mean, he was there last year and he had an awful season. So now that he has a good quarterback, he's putting up Peyton Manning.
But who
type
else
receptions.
does Andrew Luck go to more? I mean, what if there was no Reggie
Who
Wayne?
else did Peyton Manning go to more? I mean,
I'm
he
gonna
is a solid
honestly,
receiver.
my pick for this, I'm gonna have to go, and this is very, I mean, it's a little biased, but I feel like it's a little under credit. I have to go with Tom Brady. I
mean,
really
he-
think
he
his
is
touchdown to
pretty good position
interception
again.
ratio
I was
is
just saying
record
possible. I
breaking.
didn't say
His touchdown to he's supposed to. I guess I saw something on the line. He's projected for 35 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Something like that. I mean, 4 interceptions in 1 year for a quarterback. I know it's Tom Brady. It's expected he's going to be great. But I really think all the talk of all these other guys, don't forget about Tom Brady. I think he deserves another one, at least another MVP before he leaves for a Hall of Fame type career. I really think that Tom Brady, even if he can pull it out without Gronkowski and continue what he's been doing, I think he deserves the MVP.
Now, I'm going to agree with you here a little bit. I think the thing with Tom Brady is everybody thinks he got shafted last year because of Aaron Rodgers' season, because Drew Brees broke that record. Yeah. However, I think now the Patriots, because they started off slow with 3-3 record, everyone's kind of overlooking Tom Brady, maybe thinking the Patriots, oh yeah, they're going to get him because they have a weak division. However, since he went 3-3, they've just won out. And they're looking back like 07 Patriots, and that's all because of Tom Brady. Like Pep said, he's doing this without Aaron Hernandez, or recently without Aaron Hernandez, then without Gronkowski, right? And with a Welker, with the contract situation, this is huge. However, there's a couple of names, like I said, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, who's doing the same thing.
The Patriots could be undefeated this season. The Patriots could be undefeated this season.
Yeah, all the losses.
Brady, 0%. 0% of the 3 games that we have lost. Nothing to do with Brady. No fault of Brady.
How about Peyton?
At all.
He could be up there. I think it's more of like
a comeback player. Let somebody.
I know. I just feel like that story is a little. I mean, it's a little bit more.
He's won enough.
I don't think it's going to be him. I think Tom Brady definitely deserves more recognition he's getting this season. I know he's Tom Brady, and the Patriots get all the recognition in the world, but I mean Brady, I just think he deserves. If he keeps on that, if he gets that 35-4, absolutely more than deserving of an MVP.
I'm going to go with the shocker here.
He deserves it.
I'm going to go with the shocker here. I know that Tom Brady has had a good season. I know that Peyton Manning has had a storybook season and won his last 6 in a row. I know J.J. Watt's putting up huge numbers. I know Aaron Foster's doing great.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Matt Ryan here because I think he had such a great. Yeah, I think he had such a great beginning of the season. Everyone's kind of overlooking him now just because of a weak couple games. What happened last year? That's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. And you've seen Aaron Rodgers had a great beginning of the season, then he kind of fell off a little bit statistically wise, and then everyone said, "Oh, how about Drew Brees?" I'm thinking that they're still going to give it to Matt Ryan because of what he's done at the beginning of the season.
11-1 helps too.
Right.
All right. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of The Pinch. Don't forget to subscribe to subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. You know the deal. We'll see you next week.
And Adderall shows up in PED reports.